I wanted to seek the blessings of the assembled acharyas and your good wishes, so that we can discuss something which will please the Supreme Personality of God. I wanted to seek the blessings of Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, and the previous acharyas, and of course the gopis and the manjaris, and Radha Krishna themselves. So this is a verse from Prema Bhakti Chandrika by Narottam Das Thakur. In this book, Narottam Das Thakur describes quite a bit about the love the Manjaris have for the divine couple. And most of the presentation are verses from this book. And we can recite this verse together. Sama sneha, vishama sneha, na koryo duleha, kohi matra adhika sneha gana, nirantara thake sange, Krishna katha lila range, narma sakhi e sab jana.
Equal affection for Radha and Krishna, or more affection for Krishna than for Sri Radha. Do not become attached to that. I will just speak about preference for Sri Radha. They are always in her company, blissfully telling her about Krishna. They are all called Narma Sakhis.
So this is like a very interesting verse, and I think as we're going through the presentation, it will become a little bit clearer what this means. Equal affection for Radha and Krishna, or more affection for Krishna than for Radha. Do not become attached to that. That's quite a interesting, a strange philosophy in one sense. How can you not have affection for Krishna? It's not saying that. Have affection for Krishna, but if it's more than affection for Radha or equal to Radha, then you may not be able to gain access to the Manjari Bhav, which is what we're discussing today. So this will become a little bit more clear as we're going through the presentation. But so this is a chart which I think most devotees will be familiar with. Golok. In the spiritual world, we have this famous hexagon. We have Radha Krishna in the middle of this roll of lotus flower. And then we have the 8 gopis who we've talked about for the last few days. And then we have the famous manjaris just behind the gopis. Just behind the gopis. So they're like the assistants to the gopis. But actually, their position is, as we will see a little later, even more exalted than the gopis, in one sense. So, who are these gopis? There's Rupa Manjari, very famous. And that is our own Rupa Goswami, who is, we are all Rupanugas, followers of Rupa Goswami. And he's a Manjari. So by this, just only by this point, we should understand that we're actually followers of Rupa Manjari, Rupa Goswami, one of the key main Manjaris who looks after the service of Radha and Krishna. So this gives us a very good hint of this parampara, where we're hopefully going, if that is our bhav, if that is our constitutional position. Who are the other Manjaris? Raghunath Das Goswami is Rati Manjari. And we'll identify each one of these Manjaris towards the end of the presentation. Probably won't finish today, probably have to carry on tomorrow. But each one has a distinct service, a distinct personality. And in this book, Narottam Das Thakur describes a little bit about their personality. Sanatan Goswami is Lavanga Manjari. Lokanath Goswami is Manjulali. And Lokanath Goswami was slightly older than the 6 Goswamis. Raghunath Bhatt Goswami is Raga Manjari. Krishnadas Kaviraj, who authored the Chaitanya Charitamrita, is Kasturi Manjari. Gopal Bhatt Goswami is Guna Manjari. And Jiva Goswami is Vilas Manjari. So the 6 Goswamis are more or less there. Raghunath Das Goswami is not there. But anyway. Now, Srila Prabhupada states in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya the following. He says, do you want to read this?
The associates of Radharani include her personal associates called Sakhis and her near assistants called Manjaris. It is very difficult to express dealings of Radharani's associates with Krishna because they have no desire to mix with him or enjoy with him personally. Rather, they are always ready to help Radharani associate with Krishna. Their affection for Krishna and Radharani is so pure that they are simply satisfied when Radha and Krishna are together. Indeed, that transcendental pleasure is in seeing Radha and Krishna united. The actual form of Radharani is just like a creeper embracing the tree of Krishna. And the damsels of Raj, the associates of Radharani, are just like the leaves and flowers of that creeper. When a creeper embraces a tree, the leaves and flowers of the creeper automatically embrace it. The Govinda Lilamrit describes the pleasure of Radharani's associates as follows. Radharani, the expansion of the pleasure potency of Krishna, is compared to a creeper, and her associates, the damsels of Raj, are compared to the flowers and leaves of that creeper. When Radharani and Krishna enjoy themselves, the damsels of Raj relish the pleasure more than Radharani herself.
These subject matters are highly confidential. I'm not going to go into the intimate pastimes of the Lord anyway, because they are beyond us for sure. But even the subject matters that we are going to discuss today, they are the advanced level, and we are at the beginning level, beginner's level. Some may not even started, even taken a guru, let alone chanting 16 rounds early in the morning and following the 4 regulatory principles and serving, etc., etc. So why are we going into these subject matters? Is because at least once in our life, we should have an understanding of what there is in the spiritual world which we are aiming for. And hopefully, why we're going into this subject matter is to give us more inspiration to improve our sadhana, to become more serious in Krishna consciousness, because there's so much glorious things waiting for us. If we get our mood right, our consciousness can be improved so that it becomes even more focused. We may be focused already. However, we can never be focused enough. Delving into these subject matters, we will see the nectar that there is available in the spiritual kingdom. And hopefully that will give us a much more impetus to become a lot more serious in our Krishna consciousness. It's not that we are jumping ahead of ourselves. We don't want to do that. We can't do that anyway. Because we are, in the material world, we are fallen, we are addicted to material sense enjoyment. But we want to try to reduce those addictions and increase our addiction for Radha and Krishna. This is the whole point. And by just delving a little bit into these topics, just scratching, we're only going to be scratching the surface, but even doing that, we'll see how much nectar there is, so that we really do become very focused. Now, by following the Vraj Gopis, the sages of the Dandaka forest, there was 60,000 of them, or was it 16,000? I can't remember now. And the personified Vedas became themselves Vraj Gopis. This is not the Prema Priya Sakhis, not the 8 main gopis. They are not much different from Radha and Krishna. Nobody can become them. But these are gopis who serve the main Sakhis and attain the service of Radha and Krishna in Braj. But on the other hand, the goddess of Vaikuntha, Lakshmi Devi, could not attain Sri Krishna's company, despite the fact she lived in Braj and performed penances, tapasya there. So isn't this quite extraordinary? Lakshmi Devi herself, who is the consort of Vishnu. And Vishnu and Krishna are in one sense one. But Lakshmi Devi could not attain Krishna's company. This is quite eye-opening. This is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. And in this connection, Sriman Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya, told Venkat Bhatt in the south of Bharat when he went there. And Venkat Bhatt is the father of Gopal Bhatt Goswami, who was very much worshipping Lakshmi Narayan. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu questioned him, why is Lakshmi not allowed into the arena of the Ras dance? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to him, all the personified Vedas followed the gopis and worshipped the son of the queen of Braj in their mood. When they attained a gopi body in another age, so it wasn't at the same time, another time, they could play the Ras Leela with Krishna. Krishna is of the cowherd caste, and the cowherd girls are his sweethearts. He will not accept goddesses or other ladies in that feature. Lakshmi wanted to associate with Krishna, but she did not worship him in allegiance to the gopikas. She could not attain the Ras dance in another body. And this is confirmed in the Bhagavad Puran, 10th canto, 47th verse, 47th chapter, 60th verse. So Lakshmi Devi wanted to hold on to her opulence, but she did not want to follow the mood of the gopis, follow the footsteps of the gopis, and hence why she was not allowed entrance into the Ras Leela. So this gives us a very, very strong indication that we have to try to gain the favor of the gopis in order to enter into Krishna's pastimes. And that's the whole point, right? That's the whole point of this Krishna consciousness movement. Radha's maidservants are the embodiment of Sevaras, and the Swarups entirely consist of Sevaras. Their love is so pure and great that their heart's love culminates in the form of service. Their love is just like iron that gets red hot in identification with the fire in which it is laid by the blacksmith. So there's no difference, right? You've got an iron rod, which is iron, but when it's put into fire and it's long enough in the fire, it becomes as good as the fire. Their love and service become so identical that they become indivisible. Indivisible thing. Hence it is said, Prema Seva. This Prema Seva is to be asked from the Nitya Siddha Kinkaris, that's the Manjaris. Radha Madhav's Prema Seva is their own treasure. When they are so kind to bestow it upon a sadhika, he will be able to achieve it. And we have Rupa Goswami, whose lotus feet we can take the shelter of. The sadhika's expertise in bhajan and the resultant loving eagerness are required to invoke their grace. So our sadhana needs to be strong, and our eagerness, our greed needs to be strong. Through their anxious prayers, such eager kinkari bhav sadhikas must beg the loving service of Radha Madhav from them. They are also most merciful, and when they see the eagerness of such a qualified new maidservant, they bless her with proper devotional service. The spiritual practice in the mood of a maidservant of Radha is the unique gift of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the fallen souls of this age of Kali quarrel. And it has been preached and spread particularly by his dearest associates, Rupa, Sanatan, and the remaining of the 6 Goswamis. So we have access to this. This is the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This was the gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to us. Krishna Prema, Bhakti Prema, which is even higher than Krishna Prema. So by chanting the Maha Mantra, by doing our rounds, by following the orders of the spiritual master, by our fixed sadhana, strong sadhana, is our base, is the foundation of seeking eagerly the blessings, the mood of the Manjaris. Those amongst Sri Radharani's Sakhis whose love for Sri Radha is equal to or slightly less than their love for Sri Krishna have love for Krishna as Sthayi Bhav, within which their love for Radha is counted as Sanchari Bhav. Now, Sanchari Bhav is where you either have equal love for Krishna or a little bit more love for Krishna than Radha. But those Sakhis who love Radha more than Krishna, they love Radha more than Krishna, whose feelings are increased due to constant absorption in this, having this that status of bhavolasi, because their feelings have come to dominate all feelings, although they are officially Sanchari Bhavas. So officially they're Sanchari Bhavas, they have love for Krishna and Radha. But actually, they have a little bit more love for Radha than for Krishna. That puts them in a unique position. And all of our acharyas are in this mood of bhavo-lasa. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas who have taken shelter of Mahaprabhu's lotus feet and who follow the 6 Goswamis headed by Rupa and Sanatan are following this mode of worship of Manjari Bhav or bhavo-lasa. Thus, the Raga Nuga Bhajan of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas who follow the Nitya Siddha Manjaris of Vraja, who love Radha more than Krishna, will be accomplished. But that can only happen if our sadhana is very, very, very strong. In the kingdom of Bhava Sadhana, Manjari Bhav is a pinnacle of relish that a living entity can ascend to. Of course, if one has a different bhava, different mood of worshipping the Lord, if one's mood is worshipping the Lord as Lakshmi Narayan, then that is the highest for that sadhika. For that devotee, that is the highest, absolutely. If one wants to serve the Lord in friendship, then that is the highest mood for that particular devotee. Similarly, if one wants to worship the Lord in a neutral capacity, like a flute or karas or whatever it is, for that devotee, that's the highest platform to be on. For one who wants to worship the Lord as a parent, that's the highest. We cannot say that Manjari Bhav is higher than these other bhavs, because for that devotee, those other bhavs are the top, the pinnacle of their spiritual success. However, when we look at it from an analytical point of view, this is, of course, what we're saying. This is what is being said by Narottam Das Thakur, who is also one of the gopis, one of the Manjaris. So they are in the know that Manjari Bhav is the pinnacle of relish that a living entity can ascend to. All the Sakhis are eternal companions in Sri Radha Madhav's pastimes, because although the filling of the divine pair are all pervading and they cannot find nourishment without the support of the Sakhis with regard to rasa relished by the divine couple. There's Atmarama. Krishna is Atmarama on his own. Radha and Krishna together are Atmarama. They're self-satisfied, but they get more rasa, more relish, more enjoyment when they have the support of the leelas created by the Sakhis. Still, there are no other associates than the Manjaris who continuously stay with Sri Radha and Madhav during their pastimes. By Radha's wish, Lalita and the other Sakhis sometimes are heroines, lovers of Krishna. Therefore, due to their equal feelings, because they're on the same platform, they're almost, you could say, competitors. But the gopis actually, generally, the Astasakhis generally assist Radha and Krishna in their pastime, loving pastimes. But Radharani often will encourage Lalita, Vishakha, the other gopis, to also have loving pastimes with Krishna. That's how she reciprocates with the gopis. So in one sense, they can be regarded a little bit like competitors. So when the divine pair are performing intimate pastimes, there would be shyness and embarrassment, because if a competitor is present, they may not be as free as they would like to be. But that's not the case with the Manjaris, who have especially more love for Radha than Krishna. Because Radharani feels uninhibited completely. Because the Manjaris are completely absorbed in their service to please the divine couple. And Radha considers them to be non-different from our own body. Thus the Manjaris never become heroines on they're not competitors to Radha. They're not looking for love from Krishna because they love Radha more. Their love for Radha eclipses their love for Krishna. And therefore, Radha and Krishna are much more freer to allow these Manjaris to do very intimate service for them. They are also present when Radha Madhav have their intimate meetings to engage in their private service. At that time, the divine pair consider them Avesh Murti, embodiments of their ecstatic absorption of their Rasika pastimes. And thus there is no reason for them to feel embarrassed. And only these Manjaris are constantly in the company of the divine pair. That's why these Manjaris are regarded to be more exalted than the Astasakhis, because they have access to pastimes which nobody has access to. In the Sri Vrindavan Mahi Amrita, the 8th Saptakam, Srila Prabodhanandan Saraswati has written about the sweet mood of the Manjaris and how they are always present. Since they will die if they are separated from the lotus feet of their Ishwari, Sri Radharani, the Manjaris stay with her lotus feet day and night. What more can I say? When Radha enjoys with Krishna, she may take the Manjari with her onto the sacred kunjas and areas, and sometimes even covers her confidentially. The Manjaris do not desire anything but the service of Radha's lotus feet in all the 3 phases of time, past, present, future, and is always immersed in a boundless ocean of ecstatic love for Radha. Even in dreams, she does not know anything else but the lotus feet of Radha. She is beautified by waves of billowing ocean of prema for Sri Radha. She has an adolescent female form. She's about 13, just a year or so younger. That astonishes even the great gods and entire universe. And she wears big goosebumps due to relishing rasa on her body at every time, every moment. Radha's maidservants captivate everyone by the endless luster and beauty of their every limb, and they always anxiously wander here and there in Radha's service. In this way, the Kinkaris are always with Sri Radha and Madhav, enjoying their services when they meet, and in separation, this is where the Manjaris come on their own, into their own. They relieve Radha from the pangs of separation by Krishna Katha, enjoying discussing topics of Krishna. Then when they view the pastimes of the divine pair, they keep these pastimes, intimate pastimes, marked on the canvases of their hearts with the pencils of prema, so that they can describe these blissful pastimes again to Shrimati Radharani at the time of separation. So this is one of the main functions. They will relish these pastimes, or they will take them to their heart, and they'll recall them, recount them again and again and again when Radha's feeling separation from Krishna. In this way, they give shape to playful Shyam in front of Radha. Also for this prasang, conversational form of devotional service, the Manjaris always stay with Srimati Radharani. Although they are always engaged in acts of service, they are still known as Narmasakis, intimate joking girlfriends. So they're not just puppets or ordinary personalities. They extend tasty jokes to Sri Krishna, to Sri Radha, and again to the divine pair together to give them topmost happiness according to the time. So these Manjaris are actually very, very astute. Simply by a hint, Radharani's one little look, they would know what she wants. Same with Krishna. And they would interact in that way to give the divine couple great pleasure. So Narottam Das Thakur, he's written quite a lot. So this is where he identifies the Manjaris. Shri Rupa Manjari Sara, Shri Rati Manjari Ara, Lavanga Manjari Manjulali, Shri Rasa Manjari Sange, Kasturika Ati Grange, Prema Seva Kore Kutu Hole.
Shri Rup Manjari, Shri Rati Manjari, Lavanga Manjari, Manjulali Manjari, Shri Ras Manjari, Kasturika, and others are blissfully rendering loving devotional service with each other.
So he's identified the 8 Manjaris, which we saw right at the beginning in the chart, who all descended to earth when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. Here the word Sara is accepted to mean chief. Of all the Manjaris, Shri Rupa Manjari is the greatest and the chief. So if you see this verse, Shri Rupa Manjari Sara. So Rupa Manjari is regarded to be the leader. In allegiance to her and under her control, all the Manjaris perform and accomplish their services to Sri Radha Madhav. This Rupa Manjari is none other than Srila Rupa Goswami. So we have Rupa Goswami as our leader. Rupa Nugas, we are followers of Rupa Goswami. The new Manjaris attain the eligibility to engage in the Rasika service of Sri Radha Madhav when they pass Rupa Manjari's examination. Otherwise, it is not possible for anyone to attain the Yugala Seva. Yugala is the intimate service. Just as Mahaprabhu would not listen to anyone's poetry before having it examined by Swarup Damodar, the great knower of Ras, because if it contained Rasabhas, incompatible flavors, or Viruddha Siddhanta, controversial theories, then they would be rejected. Narottam Das Thakur reviews in Pratana Pada his own Manjari Swarup. So this Narottam Das Thakur knows what he's talking about because he is a Manjari. when he first attains the good fortune of Yugala Seva, he will collect all the paraphernalia for this Yugala Seva on Rupa Manjari's order and remain standing behind her. So he says like this, I will shyly stand behind Sri Rupa as Radha, and Krishna look at me again, smile, and ask Rupa with kind hearts, oh Rupa, where did you get this new maidservant? Hearing their inquiry, Sri Rupa Manjari tells them, Manjulali Manjari, the spiritual name of Srila Lokanath Das Goswami, who is the spiritual master of Narottam Das Thakur, has given me this maidservant to bring her before you. Knowing her to be very humble, I kept her to serve you. While she told them this personally, she will engage Narottam in their service. So this is how the Manjaris are introduced to Radha and Krishna. So we have gone over time. I wasn't thinking of starting now. Actually, we can perhaps cover most or all the Manjaris tomorrow. It won't take too long. There's not huge amounts that's given about them, but there's enough for us to understand that how special they are. So, are there any questions or any comments? Did you find this useful? Everybody asleep?
I find it very informative. Thank you.
Oh, Madhusudan's not there today?
He is here. We had some problem created by some thief on my car, so the mechanic is at the door. So he's sorry, going to get recorded. So he's at the door with the mechanic.
Yeah. That's fine. No, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Very quick question. Something you were saying about our love, should it be equal for Krishna and Radha, or should it be more for Radha? I got a little bit confused there.
Yes, of course. And thank you for asking, actually. Easy to get confused, especially the way I present it. No. For us, we just have to do our sadhana. Krishna is our target from the devotional point of view. Radha and Krishna are our target. It's not that we discriminate between the two. Later on in our spiritual life, when our sadhana is so good that we actually realize our position in the spiritual world, at that time, this comes into play. At this moment in time, we're too young in our spiritual lives. But what we can understand is that our line of command in this parampara, the previous acharyas, are all in this position where they have more love for Radha than for Krishna. And Bhaktivedanta Saraswati said, most people worship Radha to get Krishna, but in our parampara, we worship Krishna to get Radha.
I'll be totally honest about myself. From very young, when I used to meet Guru Maharaj, I was more focused with Krishna. And then slowly as time went on, I started to focus more and more, a little bit on Radharani, and now it's a lot more than what it was in the past. So that's why I'm kind of asking, because I've kind of grown to understand Shri Radharani, which I think probably initially is very difficult.
It is. She's probably the hardest personality. The Hladini Shakti of the Lord is very hard to understand. But we don't have to engage separately to try to do an intellectual exercise on trying to understand, because no matter how much intellect you use, you never be able to penetrate the loving devotional service of Radha and Krishna except through devotion, through bhakti, through begging, through really crying for Radha and Krishna. If we don't cry for them, it's not going to happen. We really got to cry for them. Really, really got to cry for them. I really want to engage in your service, Radharani. Krishna, please engage me. And that's where the Sakhis come in, because they're very, very merciful. If we follow in their footsteps, that's the whole point of going through this, is really to try to understand that we have access to Rupa Goswami, who's one of the previous acharyas, and we can petition him. My dear Rupa Goswami, you are Shri Rupa, how's that thing? Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Swayam Rupa Tadati Swapadantikam. We can really petition him. We have the authority. Prabhupada has given us access to Rupa Goswami. So, which is a quite amazing thing, actually. Thank you for asking that, and thank you for sharing your realization as well, Pitambar. Anybody else?
Very interesting, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu.
Did you want to say something?
Prabhu, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
It was very instructive, and it like drove us to go and read more about our Sri Goswamis, and then to know more about the Manjaris and the Gopis. So who is who? I have got a book. I haven't had the chance to read it, but now you put me on the track, right? I'm going to read about them. That's very nice.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
And after you read, you can make some notes and you can share with us, Maji. I'll be really happy for you to share.
Yes, for sure.
Because, you know, we can, by the Lord's mercy, by Prabhupada's mercy, by Guru Maharaj's mercy, we can actually come in, like, move forward together. This is the beauty of this Krishna consciousness, you know.
Sure.
No, thank you for your thank you for your encouragement.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sanjana, anything you'd like to ask?
Hare Krishna. No, just listening and trying to absorb myself and like think about it. Sometimes I just need like time to mull it over. Yeah,
and this is actually this is quite advanced stuff which we're talking about. We probably should be talking about it, but if you don't know, how are you ever going to? If you don't know, how are you ever going to aspire for it? You know, at least we need to know. It may be, it is definitely way beyond our grasp, no doubt about it. But I remember one of my teachers telling me when I was in school, aim for the A. Okay, you might be at the level of C, but don't worry. Aim for the A and do your very best. So if we don't know what that A is, how are we going to aim for it, even though we may be at the C level?
Yeah, absolutely. True.
Okay.
It's very good, very informative.
Thank you, Sanjana. Kamakshi?
Yes, as you said, it's very, I thought it was very secret episodes going on. Not many people know about it. So I haven't got much knowledge of it. So it was nice to hear what I could hear because I had to go to the door as well.
Yeah.
But yes, it transpires that the times were really spiritual. We cannot comprehend. Our minds are not intelligent enough to comprehend. Yeah, thank you.
And thank you. Very true. Very true. Karuna Bandar?
Hare Krishna.
Would you like to share anything Any
I'm
realization?
still trying to understand everything. Just like Mataji just said, we have a mundane mind, so difficult to understand transcendental pastimes of the Lord.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very interesting to know.
Yeah, useful to know.
Yeah, so that we can understand our position and fallen souls we are, and what's the type of pastimes happening in the transcendental world.
Yeah, and
very
actually,
nice to know this.
Yeah, that's an advantage as well. Like Haridas Thakur, he would take his position as being born in a Muslim family and use that fallen, if you like, malecha position to his advantage. And he would constantly be thinking, I am useless, I am nothing, and he wouldn't just be thinking that, he would be feeling that as well. And I think if we have a similar sort of humble mood of understanding that we are in a very low position, then actually when we do our sadhana and our bhakti, Krishna's heart will melt, because he will look upon us and think, yes, these guys definitely need my help, and let my mercy flow. So, and I think the more we realize how much, the more we sort of talk about this, the more we realize how far away we are away from all these perfections. So that's a good place to be, because we can realize actually we are nothing, and we're really dependent on the Lord for everything, for His kindness. Okay, thank you very much.
In the materialistic way of thinking, these days we are encouraged to say think positive. But hearing that at that time people used to say I'm nothing, so it just shows the comparability, what the material world is and what spiritual world was.
Yeah,
you think?
That's a good point.
Am I understanding any? Make sense?
I think, yes, in one sense, you're right that, from material point of view, we always taught be positive.
Yeah.
But actually, from a spiritual point of view, it should be the same. It should be the same that in the sense that, I'm positive that I'm really fallen.
Yeah.
I only depend on your mercy. That invokes the Lord's mercy to flow. Right, because
it's the acceptance of saying myself, yes, I haven't much knowledge, so I'm not that spiritual advanced, but if I have mercy, hopefully to do whatever I can do. So I think my understanding is, yes, the spiritual aspect and material aspects I'm trying to figure in my head.
Yeah. In the one sense we are thinking, but we shouldn't be thinking ourselves so negatively that we want to extinguish our soul or extinguish our life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's negative for sure, but it's understanding in reality our position.
Yeah, correct.
And understanding the Lord's position that He can do absolutely anything He likes. And we can simply beg and cry for His mercy.
Yeah.
So
that's the only option left.
It's the only option, actually. We have, like, who was it? Govind Swami Maharaj. I remember one class, I was hearing a recording of it. He was saying we have to cry for Krishna, and then he kept repeating, we have to cry that we're not crying for Krishna. We have to cry that we're not crying, that we're not crying for Krishna. And he said it like 5 minutes or 7 minutes. He used that word crying about maybe 100 or 200 times.
Yeah.
Emphasizing this point that we really need to beg and cry for the Lord's mercy. Otherwise, there's no access.
Yeah. Okay. Nabi, I just wanted to change the subject slightly, if it's okay with you. Tomorrow, my sister, Aruna, is shaving her hair for raise some charity money. So just bless her. And if anybody wants to contribute towards her fundraising, she doesn't know I'm going to say this, but I hope she doesn't mind. But tomorrow, yes, her hair has been shaved off for charity fundraising. So bless her, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's very good. And what is that in the morning? Will she join us later?
I don't know. You'll have to ask. She's there.
Yeah.
I'll have to ask her.
Because
Sorry.
she has to put a screen on.
Okay.
No, yeah, that's very good. Very, very good. We have to do some sacrifice. Yeah.
Oh, she's gone.
Yeah, she's not there. She's not there.
Okay. All right.
She's probably preparing for the haircut.
Yeah, shaving off. Okay, I just thought I'll bring it to just for everybody's blessing, really.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me know.
Haribol.
So we can